Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is I, Colton Robertson, and you are back for the 1980s Penny Bloom Film Awards. I am joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me join on such a momentous occasion.
Oh, what a momentous occasion indeed. Another decade in the books. That's two down. 70s and 80s. We've only got the 90s, the aughts, and the 10s to go. I'm very, very excited. Not even halfway there yet, which is just really encouraging, frankly. We've done so much, and we still have so much more to do. Very, very excited about that. But yes, if you've been with us,
decade indeed.
Yes, if you've been with us on our 52-year journey through film, you know that we did this for the 70s as well, the 1970s Film Awards, and we've got the same categories this time around, but our nominees are our movies from the 80s. So let's give that rundown real quick. From 1980, we covered The Shining. 81, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. 82, Blade Runner. 83, Scarface. 84, The Terminator. 85, The Breakfast Club. 86, Aliens. 87, Spaceballs. 88, My Neighbor Totoro. And 89, Dead Poets Society. Now, those are our only nominees. Nothing else from the 80s even matters here. I mean, you can kind of take it into account in conversation, but it can't influence your decision on a winner.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
Only the movies that we have seen in our project are allowed. And this was an even better decade than the 70s, for my money, as far as this nominee system works. We got a little bit more on the actress side of things, which was very, very fun because now we actually have an actress category, Best Actress, and instead of just Best Supporting Actress as we had previously. We've got Best Leads this time around, which I'm very excited for because that looks like it might be the hardest category we've had yet.
Oh, yeah. And hopefully this trend continues. I think it will, just as time progresses.
And I mean, we're going to kick it off with a fucking bang next week with Goodfellas. There's a performance in that. Lorraine Bracco. Oh, she plays the therapist in Melfi. She plays Melfi. She's the lead in Goodfellas. She's the mob wife, which is fantastic. So very excited for you to see that. But we've got some great nominees here this week as well. So let's kick it off. We got categories: set design, best soundtrack, best actor, best supporting actor, best actress, best supporting actress, best director, best writer, and the best costume design. And after that, we've got a whole plethora of awards to give out that aren't quite as technical. They're more fun stuff like who was the best at being the best, who's the class clown, most likely to succeed, most likely to end up in jail or dead, dream blunt rotation, nightmare blunt rotation, etc., etc. Very fun over there. But we'll start with the real shit. Now let's start easy with set design. We got some good ones in this decade. We got The Shining for our nominees: Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Terminator, and Aliens. And off rip, you think about these movies, and there's nothing that stands quite as iconic as The Shining set design, man.
Interesting. I love this movie to death. And I was gonna say, of the 4 movies that are up here, I would say the other 3 have a much more large focus on set design than The Shining does. But The Shining's, it's weird. The other 3, Raiders, Terminator, Aliens, you're in a completely different world where the set design is that I guess Raiders, you're kind of in the same world, but I don't know. Whatever.
Going on an
it's
adventure.
An adventure.
And you know what?
The
The set design in Raiders is special. Like the jungle at the beginning and the bar and the mountains, the saloon.
Mm-hmm.
God damn, Raiders. Raiders is the other one. But The Shining, the way that the hotel and The Shining.
It's the whole movie.
It's the grandest set there is. Like it's like the perfect definitive example of the set working as a part of the story. So for my money, I think it's got to go to The Shining, despite what Raiders of the Lost Ark brought to the table.
I'm definitely glad that you were here, because I thought The Shining was going to be the first movie that we removed, like, from the options, and I was gonna give it its time of day, I was gonna give it its shining light, didn't mean to do that, but yeah, I was gonna give it, its dying words, but I'm that's what my choice was gonna be, was The Shining, because it's half of the movie, half the movie's the hotel, the other half is how it's taken over Jack, basically. So the set design it's crucial to this movie. It's everything. It's iconic. You can, if you were placed in that hotel, if that was a legitimate building you could walk around in, I feel like I would know the place kind of well already.
I know how to make my way around that bitch.
Yeah. If I knew where the great room was, I'd be okay, yeah, up there. That's where
the
they
kitchen's
go up
down that way.
The kitchens. Yeah. You kind of know. And where the maze is, the maze. That's just a
maze.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the thing too, is that it's simple. It's not over the top. It's not too incredibly intricate, particularly, but I'd argue it's the Terminator and Aliens were the first ones out for me. Those were the ones where I was they definitely transport you to a different reality in many a sense. You know what might have been a good one for set design as well was Blade Runner, but I still wouldn't take Blade Runner over The Shining or Raiders of the Lost Ark. And ultimately, The Shining is just the set is a huge part of the entire movie. So I just got to go with The Shining.
All right. Well, I'm definitely glad. I'm right there with you. I'm just glad you went there, because I love this movie, and that's one of the best parts about it is that hotel and it's so I'm definitely glad. I'm comfortable giving it the first award.
Fuck yeah, buddy. Then The Shining wins the best set design. Previous winner for that, I believe, was Star Wars from the 70s. So
hard
cool.
To beat that one.
Yeah, cool seeing the lineage of things as well. I'm gonna get the 70s awards pulled up on my shit just to kind of have that sort of ready.
It was indeed Star Wars.
Yeah,
they did. It beat out 36 Chamber, Apocalypse Now, Clockwork Orange, and American Graffiti.
That makes sense. And on to the best soundtrack. We got 4 nominees again in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Blade Runner, Scarface, and My Neighbor Totoro. And I mean, it's just a shame anybody's got to go up against John Williams, bro.
You can't really beat the man. The man's a master composer. He knows what the fuck he's doing. And every project he's on is just gold. I don't know. It'd be very interesting to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark without the soundtrack. Can you imagine, not hearing the classic indie music, as he's doing his thing? Yeah,
that's a huge part of that movie. And in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and get the indie soundtrack going now.
Yeah, thank you for your playlist. I do have it going, and forced an indie one for this section real quick, because pretty comfortable that it's probably going to take the cake. But I mean, I would like to talk about the other ones a little bit.
Oh, of course. You know what's interesting is that my second place for this award is My Neighbor Totoro. That soundtrack was so atmospheric and so peaceful and so airy that I was just God, I love this. It makes me happy. I listen to that a lot now. Coming off the viewing of that movie.
Yeah. In Blade Runner, it put you into the world. It definitely did its job.
And that's another one that I have been revisiting a lot. Also a part of this playlist. the Blade Runner soundtrack by Vangelis is fucking good. Like, it's probably my favorite thing about the movie, besides like the direction and the visuals. Like, soundtrack it's up there anyway. It was another thing that really got you into the universe they were in, and if you can do that, I'm really fuck with it.
Yeah, but
Scarface is.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Scarface was it's kind of like a Godfather soundtrack, but like toned down, like and not really a Godfather soundtrack, but like I don't know. It was a very interesting soundtrack. Like I don't know. I guess what soundtracks aim to do is amplify the emotions that you're supposed to be feeling during whatever scene. And whenever you have the feeling of like, oh, this is iconic, like you get while watching Raiders, it's because like you hear the music in the background at the same time that he's doing something. Yeah, like that's the iconic part, is like the soundtrack. Yeah. You ask someone, give me something Star Wars, give me something Indiana Jones, like literally, like just give me any reference to it at all. Like, and I bet like it's either they're going to be like, all right, lightsaber, you know, or whip, or they're going to sing the song. Like, yeah, like the song is like one of the first things that pops in your mind when you think of these movies. And I mean, John Williams is just a master at his craft, and it's going to be hard to beat him.
He was also the winner in the 70s awards, as Star Wars also won the best soundtrack.
Yeah, hard to beat that guy. He knows soundtracks are somewhat similar, I guess you could say. You know, his soundtracks are similar across, you know, his different universes, but I don't know, he's found this like secret formula. I don't know what it is, but like he just, every soundtrack he's on, you just know it already has that iconicism to it, which is just insane. Like, it's iconic the first time you hear it, which is, you can't really say that about the other soundtracks in this list. Right. That it's iconic the first time you hear it. That's when you know you got a good soundtrack.
True. But yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark wins best soundtrack, and with that, we're on to the acting category, best actor. This is actually probably tougher than it is on surface. We got Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones for Raiders of the Lost Ark, and you can also consider his role in Blade Runner. Because, I mean, if you got the 2 thing going on, if you got multiple performances, it automatically gives you a little bit of a leg up. But there are some good performances in this decade. Al Pacino in Scarface as Scarface, Tony Montana. Jack Nicholson in The Shining. And Robin Williams in Dead Poets Society.
Yeah, this is, you know, at first I was like, oh, it's Harrison Ford. Just of like, you know, he was in 2 movies, but like, I guess his Blade Runner performance was still good, even though the movie kind of, you know, we didn't like the movie a whole lot. So like, maybe he did do a good job.
He did do a good job in Blade Runner.
But coming off Dead Poet Society and like the performance that Robin Williams gave, like that's a powerful performance. That is an inspiring performance. Like, I would say Robin Williams would be the only other one in this list that could have a chance of going up against Harrison.
No kidding. Jack Nicholson in The Shining, though?
That is a role. That is fair. The reason I'm kind of like backing off of The Shining is because like it's my favorite horror movie of all time. I love the death out of that movie. So like, I don't want to
sound biased.
Yeah, sound biased anyway.
I just think that, you know, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
That's true. He did have to play an insane person, which he did very well.
Because here's the thing. I think about the performance that Harrison Ford puts on as Indy, and I view it in a similar way that I view Robin Williams' performance in Dead Poets Society, in that I love the character they are playing. They're bringing that character to life very well, incredibly believable, in such a way that I in some way aspire to be like this person, or I look up to this person, or I take their words and they influence me in some way. I watched Jack Nicholson in The Shining, and I'm like, holy fuck, get this man away from me. And there's something to be said for like both sides of that. Like the performance Jack Nicholson puts on is almost more impressive because I'm still in awe of it, even though I despise the character. Meanwhile, the things I it's hard for me to differentiate in like Indiana Jones's performance. Like, do I like Indiana Jones or do I like Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones? And
that's
if I
true.
like Indiana, like it's like
because
it's kind of hard.
It's very easy to pull the performance out of The Shining because like that's what the whole movie is like Jack Nicholson's performance. And, you know, we'll get later on, you know, when we get to the actresses too. Like the performances in this movie is what makes the movie. The set design and the performances, you know, it makes sense why it won set design. And I mean, like I'm all for Jack Nicholson winning here. Like if you're comfortable for it, I mean, my top Al Pacino is out for me on these other three.
Yeah, Al Pacino's definitely the most forgettable performance, and it's ironic considering it's one of the most iconic roles and one of the most quotable places ever. And he did do a kick-ass job, but like even then, it doesn't stand up to what he did in The Godfather 2 and in The Godfather. Like it's just not his strongest flick, even though he was one of the best actors from this decade.
And now that I'm thinking of like just Harrison Ford and Robin Williams, like Robin Williams in Dead Poet Society, I can comfortably say that his performance is what I liked about it, you know, out of that movie. But like with Blade Runner and Raiders, I don't know if it was his performance or just.
I like Harrison Ford.
I don't want to discredit his performance.
That's the thing,
movies.
Is that like, I think his role as Indiana Jones specifically is an incredible performance. Like he does so good as Indiana Jones. Like he is to Indiana Jones what like Ryan Reynolds is to Deadpool, like that, like Robert Downey Jr. to Iron Man. Like that man was born to play Indiana Jones. It's just plain and fucking simple. And it's interesting knowing he was also up for the role that Jack Nicholson plays in The Shining, which is just
would have been weird though. I don't know. Yeah. Like, I don't see him as a guy that I could ever like look at and be like, you know, but like Jack Nicholson, I could, you know,
he's not the greatest looking man.
Yeah. And he was the Joker at one point. So it's like, yeah, he fits this role, you know, but,
this is tough. Like, yeah, if I'm between two, it's Harrison Ford and Jack Nicholson.
Okay. That's where I'm at. That's what I was about to say. Harrison Ford did have two great performances though. And Jack Nicholson's performance in The Shining, like that's how are we going to weigh it? Is like, I think Jack Nicholson's performance is better than just the single performance of Raiders. Like looking at
but
Raiders
he also had a good performance in Blade Runner.
Exactly. So like,
I think if we're going like a decade wide award, it's got to be Harrison Ford. He like, because beyond just this, and I know like we are considering just these movies. He also had Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. He also had Temple of Doom and The Last Crusade. He also had Patriot Games and like this man dominated the 80s, and it's like almost blasphemous to say anyone else was the actor of the decade in the 1980s for my money.
Honorable mention to Jack.
Like strong admirable mention. Like I'm almost regretting it, but
I think he deserves it.
I think so too. I think so, especially after in the 70s he lost his best supporting actor nod for Han Solo and Bob Falfa and Colonel Lucas in 3 movies. But and last decade our winner also had 2 roles as Don Vito Corleone and was it Colonel Kurtz, Captain Hertz, Lieutenant Kurtz? I can't remember, but Marlon Brando dominated the 70s in the way that Harrison Ford dominated the 80s. So I'm comfortable with that being the succession here. But with that, on to Best Supporting Actor. This is a pretty tough category, as we have John Rhys Davies as Sallah in Raiders of the Lost Ark, Anthony Michael Hall as Brian Johnson in The Breakfast Club. Personally, my favorite performance from that movie. I think he does the best. Michael Biehn as Kyle Reese, and someone in Aliens. I can't remember his name right now, but I remember Kyle Reese for sure. And then Robert Sean Leonard as Neil in Dead Poets Society. Now, this is arguably harder than the last one, but when I think to this is tough because Robert Sean Leonard probably has objectively the best performance. And I don't think we really need to look beyond that.
If we're going, just off strictly performance, like,
and that's what we are. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's true. Like the only other person who I was between was Michael Biehn. Yeah, because him in Terminator, like he did really well. Like his performance was still really good in Terminator, but like,
and see, that's the thing is that like Michael Biehn is an awesome supporting actor in this decade because of the way he lended his talents to the aid of Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley, and that's what makes him cool. Like, it makes him cool that he was willing to be second fiddle to a badass woman, and I really enjoy that about Michael Biehn. But objectively, I don't think his performance was quite as good as Robert Sean Leonard's, nor was it quite as good as Anthony Michael Hall's in The Breakfast Club, I'd argue. And I think his performance is more in the same vein as John Rhys Davies as Sallah and Raiders. Like they're kind of more on like their second fiddle to somebody working together. But Robert Sean Leonard as Neil, man,
he was the one that jumped out to me right away. I mean, we did just get off, watching that movie, so it could be a little, but like I don't think this is recency bias at all. Like it's just his performance is legitimately that good. Like it rivals Robin Williams' performance in the movie. And I had a tough time.
I had a tough time deciding which one was the supporting actor and which one was the actor.
So in vein of that, like I feel very comfortable giving him the win here.
I think Robert Sean Leonard as Neil is our best supporting actor, and you know what? It was not nearly as difficult as the best actor category. Best supporting actor last decade was Richard Dreyfuss as Kurt in American Graffiti and Hooper in Jaws. So
that one was pretty easy. We liked Hooper.
I love me some Richard Dreyfuss. He did such a good job in the 70s, and Robert Sean Leonard did a fucking jaw-dropping job in Dead Poets Society. So on to the actresses, and now this is personally the toughest of the tough here, with Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley for the best actress category. Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley in Aliens, Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor in The Terminator, Molly Ringwald as Claire in The Breakfast Club, and Shelley Duvall as Wendy in The Shining. And you know what? I'm split between two here.
Is it the two? Okay. So
I'm split between three, but of the first two, I picked one.
Okay, fair. Because I was there too. I was like, okay, there's two badasses here, right? We have the Aliens badass, we got the Terminator Sigourney Weaver and Linda Hamilton. We got the badass women roles of the 80s right here. But if I had to pick one,
these are our Carrie Fishers as Leo Organa in this decade.
I had to pick one badass out of those two. I'd pick Sigourney Weaver's.
I do
Aliens.
Too. Sigourney Weaver's
killed it.
She did fucking
oh my
awesome.
God.
And like the way that like I liked Sarah Connor, but I didn't care about Sarah Connor the way that I cared about Ellen Ripley and the way she wanted to protect the child. And she did have that motherly thing going on where she did have a child to protect, and I felt that emanating through the screen. Whereas Linda Hamilton's just trying to survive as Sarah Connor, and I can get behind that, but like adding that aspect that so clearly came through on screen with Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley just really elevates her. But Shelley Duvall as Wendy, that's the other one. Molly Ringwald did fantastic as Claire, but she didn't have to quite reach the dimensions that Shelley Duvall had to in The Shining.
I think we're gonna like have the same conversation we had with like Jack Nicholson and Harrison Ford. Like here, it's kind of the same thing. Like you have a movie where it's, The Shining, it's their performances that make the movie. And Winnie's performance, like without it, the movie wouldn't be as good at all. But that's definitely the same thing with Sigourney Weaver. Like if you didn't have,
I'd argue to a greater degree than with Harrison Ford as Indy. Like I think and that's wild to say considering I just said Harrison Ford is to Indiana Jones as perfect as it gets, but like Sigourney Weaver might be even more perfect as Ellen Ripley. Like,
yeah, she fit this role so well. How every guy was just like instantly respected her. Like, whenever she climbs up into the power loader for the first time, and the guys are just watching her, like, oh my gosh, she is badass. Like, I don't know, you just got that, like, everyone admired her. Like, even in the characters, and you as the viewer, you're already admiring her. You're like, oh, she's already sick, like already badass, and like, oh, I don't know. I love her performance.
I love that one too. But dude, Shelley Duvall as Wendy, I don't know, man. Like I think her performance was every bit as good as Jack Nicholson's. Like she was the perfect person to have opposite.
The only difference, like, their performances are both fantastic, but Sigourney Weaver is like the true lead of the movie, you know? And like,
yeah.
And I mean, I guess, I don't know, that shouldn't like discredit her, like Wendy's performance, like at all, like Shelley Duvall's, but like Sigourney Weaver had to do this for the whole movie, and like she was the focal point of the movie, you know? So like,
true. You know what? I am comfortable going with Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley. She was just fucking awesome, and I loved Shelley Duvall as Wendy. And I was kind of because we didn't give Jack Nicholson The Shining. I was like, I think one of those performances is the best, but like, I can't believe neither of them ended up coming out on top. I almost wish I would have bumped Shelley Duvall down to Best Supporting Actress. But nevertheless, I think we made the right choice there. Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley is the perfect choice for our 80s Films Awards, especially coming off our 70s award with Carrie Fisher winning as Leo Organa. But on to Best Supporting Actress, and this one's fun. This is a fun one as well, with Karen Allen as Marion Ravenwood from Raiders of the Lost Ark, Michelle Pfeiffer as Elvira in Scarface, Ali Sheedy as Allison in The Breakfast Club, and Sean Young as Rachel in Blade Runner. And for me, immediately off rip, I'm compelled to go Karen Allen as Marion Ravenwood, because I fucking loved Marion Ravenwood.
I mean, you read that one first, and I'm like, okay, who's gonna beat her? You know, like when you read that one, and then and as you were reading the list, I'm like, okay, good, but not, you know.
No, yeah, there wasn't one that stood out. There wasn't one that stood out like Karen Allen as Marion Ravenwood in terms of the supporting category. She was awesome in every scene she was in. I almost like it as much when she's on screen as I do when Indy's on screen, you know. And having them together, they play off each other so perfectly. Their chemistry was palpable. I really loved them together, and I like that one's probably the easiest so far. Best Supporting Actress with Karen Allen as Marion Ravenwood.
Now, let's say Shelley Duvall is down here as Wendy in Supporting Actress.
She no doubt wins Best Supporting Actress.
So it's Shelley Duvall's like in this like weird middle ground, like with these two awards, you know, like where she doesn't win she obviously wins one of them, but really it's hard with the other, you know, like she's in this weird spot, but like, yeah, no, I mean, Marion Ravenwood was just such a cool character, and like, you know, that, I don't know, it wins in the, like, out of these four for sure. But just to give Shelley Duvall another, you know, nod, she would win here if she was in here, I think.
Oh yeah, I think so too. But yeah, Karen Allen as Marion Ravenwood was just fucking fantastic. She did fantastic. And I mean, I love Ali Sheedy as Allison in The Breakfast Club, and I remember Rachel in Blade Runner was one that really stood out to me. Like I was like she played a robot really well, like a feeling robot really well. And yeah, the most forgettable one here for me was Michelle Pfeiffer as Elvira. Like I just don't think they placed nearly the emphasis on Elvira that they placed on these other characters. And I think it came through in the performance wise. Like Michelle Pfeiffer as Elvira kind of reminds me of Margot Robbie's role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's like, wow, you got this like fantastic actress to play this tiny role who barely says anything. But yeah, I think Karen Allen as Marion Ravenwood's definitely the choice here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Ooh.
Now on to our creator categories. Or you know what? Before we get there, what of this do you think has the best costume design?
Okay. Well, immediately Raiders is jumping out just because like I loved Indy's kit, like and how he used it and like everything. But now like okay, costume. Let's see.
I mean, The Breakfast Club had some pretty distinctive looks. Like they had to let you know who these characters were, not through just their personalities, but through what they were wearing.
Fair. I guess
Blade Runner had some pretty good costumes.
Aliens, if you're counting the power loader as like a costume, that's just sick. You know,
I think
like
Aliens immediately gets dismissed because it's mostly just military gear.
That's fair. But like the power loader is just cool. I guess that's more of like a set design, than costume. But
yeah, I don't know what that would like props.
Oh, Spaceballs.
That's pretty epic costume design.
Darth. It was a Dark Helmet, Dark or Darth Helmet. Yeah, like
I almost had Rick Moranis in here for best supporting actor for Dark Helmet.
Yeah, I guess for best costume, I'd probably go with Indiana Jones. Just it's the most costumey out of any of the movies, kind of, and like executed very well. But like The Breakfast Club would probably be like a close second. Like or I don't know, it could even take it. Like I don't know. I could I'm probably between Indiana Jones and Breakfast Club though.
All right, you know what? That one that's tough. Raiders does have some good costume design. They the adventurous look that Indy's got going on, his professor looks.
I don't know. The Breakfast Club though, that's like the whole movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's like who they are, and like you knew who they were off rip because of what they were wearing and how.
And I don't want to take this into consideration too hard, but Raiders is dominating this awards. It's won like 3 of the awards so far. In some capacity, whether it be an actor or actress or something, but that's why I think The Breakfast Club is probably my choice. Just because you do get to, like, as soon as they introduce him, you know who the jock is, you know who the nerd is, you know who the fuck up is, the criminal, the guy wearing the sunglasses and the heavy coat, flipping off the guy with his fingerless gloves. It's the princess in the basket case. Like you so clearly get who they are straight off rip, and I think that's so important with The Breakfast Club.
It needs a win too, for sure. That movie deserved, like, and that's kind of hard. The hard thing about this, you know, giving these awards is that throughout this decade there were so many fantastic movies that deciding, you know, through these roles or directors or costume design, like it's hard. It's definitely hard to pick one out of these 10 movies, you know, like, or not. 6, 7, 8.
10.
Yeah.
80,
okay.
81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87,
Just
88,
making
89.
sure I wasn't, we're a decade here. So that makes
10 movies a decade.
But yeah, like,
one a year.
You know, even though we're deciding these winners, like, it's still all very, very close and not like.
Oh no. Yeah. Like I got an enjoyment level out of all of these movies, you know, and what kind of sucks is like for these previous categories, one movie that kind of can't be considered because it's animated and like weighing the voice actor's performance against like actual acting performance and stuff. Like I'm gonna leave that to the professionals. That's not quite something I'm quite capable of doing. So My Neighbor Totoro just didn't get a ton of nods here, but it will get a nod here in our next category. How about I do best writer here? We got Hayao Miyazaki for My Neighbor Totoro. James Cameron for Terminator and Aliens, Tom Schulman for Dead Poets Society, John Hughes for The Breakfast Club, and Lawrence Kasdan for Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Now, there is only one person who has 2 movies, but really their writing is very simple.
Yeah,
So like,
I this is the first time we've been like, yeah, this person had 2 movies, but like they definitely.
yeah, that's interesting. But okay.
And that's what's interesting too, is that I really enjoyed the movies, but like straight up, every other movie on this list has better writing.
Yeah.
Raiders, The Breakfast Club, Dead Poet Society, My Neighbor Totoro. Those are all better movies writing wise than Terminator and Aliens.
Ooh, this is tough. This is kind of hard. The one that's jumping out is for Dead Poet Society. Writing that is a story that it like moved to tears. It's a different kind of story, like, but that was like the richest, like, I don't know, like I don't think it's really the directing that made that movie. It's like it's what happened, the story, that
yes, absolutely.
That's what made that movie. So like, and I don't know. I don't know of like another movie that I've liked as much as this one, and like it was just written beautifully, a masterpiece. If I were to say a winner, like that would be my winner. Would be Tom Schulman. Schulman, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Schulman.
Schulman.
Interestingly enough, I'm split between 2, and Dead Poet Society was definitely one of them. And what was also shocking to me is that one of my top 3 favorite movies, or 2 of my top 3 favorite movies are not the other I'm considering. Like The Breakfast Club and Raiders, I'm not quite. My Neighbor Totoro is the other one where I'm kind of like, how hard it is to make a movie like this as compelling as it was.
That's true. Like it.
and
Raiders
it's interesting.
Like
Dead
Raiders,
Poet Society and Totoro are kind of formatted in a similar way, and that it's like there's not a lot going on for a while. It's just keeping you in it, and then it's like we really ramp up the intensity for a second just to get your blood flowing there at the end.
I'd say My Neighbor Totoro was more creative. Like there was definitely more of a creative bone into making that movie, but written better was Dead Poet Society, I think.
All right, I can get behind that.
My Neighbor Totoro was a beautiful story, and yes, it was written very beautifully, and they did have to keep you in, like it being an animated movie and all. But like, I don't know of a more impactful story.
Yeah, I think you're right. I just wanted to make the case for My Neighbor Totoro. I think Dead Poet Society definitely wins Best Writer here. Tom Schulman, congrats, buddy. I think Best Writer last decade was George Lucas, so it's definitely a good succession there. Because he had American Graffiti and Star Wars last decade, and he also helped on Raiders this decade. So,
sheesh.
Yeah, strong hands, that one. And I mean, The Breakfast Club wouldn't happen without George Lucas's American Graffiti, arguably. So John Hughes taking some inspiration there. But let's talk Best Director now. And this is a tough category. We got Steven Spielberg for Raiders of the Lost Ark, Stanley Kubrick for The Shining, Ridley Scott for Blade Runner, John Hughes for The Breakfast Club, and James Cameron for Terminator and Aliens. And funny how, again, the only one with 2 movies is the first one out.
Yeah. I mean, your movies are great, James Cameron.
It's so fascinating that he can make movies that he has so much creative control over that I just go like, I really don't know what you did for this. Like, because they're just like so down the middle. They're so like obviously what you should be doing with this. I don't know how to express like he's clearly got a creative genius to him. He's made fucking Terminator, Aliens, 2 of the highest grossing movies of all time, which aren't Terminator or Aliens, in Titanic and Avatar. Like he's clearly got like an extreme creative streak that's like insanely money producing, but like I don't know. There's just something that's so just right down the middle about it that I'm like, all of these stand out more than James Cameron's.
He feels like the I don't want to. Okay, like among these other names, he feels kind of like, and this is too bad, but like amateur. He feels more amateur than like a Kubrick. That's like even though he's a bad person, like in real life, like his directing role, like he's a master director.
Really
and then like
good at it.
Spielberg, like you hear those
Ridley
names.
Scott.
Yeah. John Hughes, like, you're hearing like these names, and you're like, oh, these are like accredited, like very masterful directors. They know what the fuck they're doing. James Cameron really just knows what will go big at the time. He's just a viral sensation is what he is.
On the biggest scale ever.
Yeah, like Titanic. If you were to release Titanic now, it's not going to be the third best movie or top or fourth, whatever it is, in top 10, regardless. So like disregard that voice crack. But yeah, like the dude just knows what will pop off at any given time, and that's kind of what he makes. Just stick with the simple story that's going to pop off at the time. There you go. But I don't know. I've kind of been stalling because I am having a hard time choosing between these directors.
I'm going to tell you, I think this is where it happens for The Shining.
Okay. Thank you. Yes.
I think this is where it happens for The Shining.
Yes.
Stanley Kubrick gets Best Director. Because, I mean, Steven Spielberg does fucking fantastic with Raiders. And it was between them two for me. It was between Spielberg and Kubrick. Because Raiders is one of my favorite movies of all time. But I think Kubrick can do Raiders, but I don't know if Spielberg can do The Shining.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, like there is a twisted part of Kubrick that like I love, and I like me loving, A Clockwork Orange. I love The Shining. Shining's my favorite horror movie of all time. That's already guaranteed. A Clockwork Orange is in my top 10 movies of all time, just in general. So like, I love me some Kubrick. And I mean, yeah, it was between Spielberg and Kubrick for me here as well. But like when you look at those movies, like what is like more important? Like the director. The director was way more important in The Shining than Spielberg was in Raiders. Like you really didn't need Harrison Ford was just gonna take that and like just ride with it.
You have Harrison Ford leading. You have John Williams on the score.
Like it was already
more room to succeed.
Yeah, the bag was already. They had
that
everything.
Doesn't discredit Spielberg though,
Yeah,
because he really does bring it all together. Like he does bring it all together in a way that.
Shit, fuck that. Okay, fuck no. Now that I'm saying this, I'm realizing like all of the great things he did in Raiders, like the shots that he set up, like the silhouettes with the shadows, or seeing the crowd in the background and Indy doing his thing. They're cheering him on. Like okay, fuck. But I
think it's Stanley Kubrick in The Shining.
Okay, yeah. I don't want to discredit Spielberg at all, even though it probably sounded like I was. But yeah, Kubrick, he's becoming one of my favorite directors through this project. Not as a human, but as solely as a director. He's becoming one of my favorites for sure. So
for sure. And interestingly enough, Stanley Kubrick and Steven Spielberg, both 2-time nominees. They were also nominated in the 70s for Jaws and A Clockwork Orange. God, the best director slate in the 70s was fucking different. George Lucas, Francis Ford Coppola, Stanley Kubrick, Steven Spielberg, and Martin Scorsese. God damn, that's lethal. And the winner was Francis Ford Coppola for Apocalypse Now and The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2. He had 3 of the 10. So
that was the 70s
strong.
Was insane, but I mean, we still had John Hughes, James Cameron,
that's
Spielberg, Kubrick, like, yeah, I mean,
Ridley Scott.
Yeah,
Ridley
I mean, like,
Scott's nothing to fuck with.
I guess
we didn't even really talk about Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Blade Runner's, if there was anything from that movie that was stand out, it was the direction. Like that. That movie was so well shot and so well framed and staged, and just like it just went really well. If there was anything that was keeping me in it, it was what I was being shown, and the director's largely responsible for that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's official. All the official awards. Finally.
All the official awards. So, The Shining won Set Design and Best Director. I got 2 awards. Raiders of the Lost Ark won Best Soundtrack. Harrison Ford won Best Actor. Karen Allen won Best Supporting Actress. And therefore, Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark got 3 awards. Dead Poets Society, Robert Sean Leonard as Neil won Best Supporting Actor, and Tom Schulman won Best Writer. So that's 2 awards for Dead Poets Society. And Sigourney Weaver as Ellen Ripley won Best Actress. So that's an award for Aliens, and Costume Design, The Breakfast Club, and an award for Breakfast Club. So pretty dominated by a couple movies. The standouts of the decade: Raiders, Dead Poets, and The Shining. Kind of running the board here, but that makes sense. You know, they were definitely the best movies of the decade. And I think there's pretty much no doubt. But on to the more fun shit.
The awards that matter.
So let's kick it off with one right down the middle. Who's the best at being the best? Who's just the shit? You know, in the 70s we gave it to Luke Skywalker, and in that vein, I think we got to give best at being the best to Indiana Jones.
Okay.
And you know, we got a few here. Indiana Jones, Ellen Ripley,
got Robin Williams. Yeah, he was pretty good at being the best, man.
Mr. Keating was the best at being the best.
Is it Doctor or Mr.?
I don't know. I can't remember.
I gotta know.
I got to know.
He played. It just says John Keating. Dang it.
We'll just list him as John Keating.
There we go. That works.
Yeah.
But Indy, definitely John Keating.
Yeah, you know, these ones don't have to have one winner. We can kind of just reflect on the decade.
But Sigourney Weaver as well, definitely for sure. You know, deserves to be up in there. I'm trying to think of any of the other movies. Let's see, Spaceballs, probably not anyone from there.
I'd say Spaceballs is the best at being the fucking worst.
Just Spaceballs, that cast, just the whole movie is just the best at being the worst.
I believe MASH won in the 70s for best at being the worst in terms of a movie. And Spaceballs brought it to a whole new fucking level.
And MASH, might as well put Spaceballs, put that up there. Yeah, but as for the good people, The Shining didn't really have many of them.
Indy.
Yeah, Blade Runner, not too many. I guess, you know, you do have, in The Breakfast Club, you have Allison at the beginning, who's the goody. You know, that's who she is, but then...
Oh, Claire.
Oh, sorry, Claire. Sorry. Did I say the actress's name? Oh, no, I said just... Yeah.
The other character's name, the other one's name.
But yeah, I guess she was the goody, you know. But I guess, is she up there with Indiana Jones and
probably not,
and John Keating?
Not the way that I'm looking at the best of being the best. And Ellen Ripley's right up there with them. Like, those are the best of being the best right there. And I think it's those three of the decade: Indiana Jones, John Keating, and Ellen Ripley. They dominated the 80s the way Luke Skywalker dominated the 70s. You know, they're the best of being the best. Best of being the worst. We got Spaceballs.
That's pretty.
It's just like, God damn, you're fucking bad, and you just know it.
I'd say we could toss in Jack Nicholson up there.
Yeah, he was good at being bad.
Let's see. Yeah, we already have Spaceballs all up in there. I guess you could throw Al Pacino, Scarface.
Ooh. How about Mr. Vernon? In The Breakfast Club.
Oh, yes. We hated that guy. Yes.
Fuck that guy.
Who we had one more fuck that guy, I think, though. There was another fuck that guy that we just couldn't stand, I feel. Maybe it was in No.
There was another guy we fucked with, the janitor in The Breakfast Club. Is that guy the best at being the best? Is he up there? I don't know if he's Indiana Jones, John Keating, and Ellen Ripley level. Maybe he's worst at being the best. Like you're fucking rock, man, but you're not Indiana Jones, John Keating, or Ellen Ripley.
Yeah, I mean, cool guy. I guess I don't know.
What's his name? Carl?
Something. Yeah, let's find out. The Breakfast Club. Carl. Yep. As
Carl
John,
the janitor.
Yeah, John Capellos is the real life dude who played him. Not really known for anything other big, but Yeah, could have. I do remember liking him, but definitely hating the professor. That's for sure.
Fuck
the teacher,
Mr. Vernon.
Yeah, he sucked. Was there anyone else that was like
really
that?
Just blue. Here, let me Mel Brooks. He's the best at being the worst. Generally, the guy who was responsible for Spaceballs.
Yeah, honestly, Spaceballs just sums it up here. This decade, the best at being the worst. That's just Spaceballs.
Spaceballs and Mr. Vernon.
As
fucking Steve in American Graffiti and the mayor in Jaws.
And maybe Spaceballs is also the worst at being the best because it is a parody of Star Wars, but it's so bad, So it's like it's the best at being the worst, but also the worst at being the best at the same time.
I wouldn't even I don't think it quite achieves best. It's not the best at anything besides being bad.
Fair.
So it's the best at being the worst, but it's definitely not the way we defined it in the 70s. Hawkeye from MASH and Martin Brody in Jaws. They're all right guys, but they fucked up a lot.
True.
And you're just kind of fuck this guy.
Fair.
A little bit. I think Carl the janitor fits that bill a little bit more. You're just this guy rocks, but how much though? How much can he rock?
Okay. Yeah, I'm comfortable with them. Let's see.
That brings us to Class Clown.
Okay. Well.
Is it Spaceballs? Maybe Barf.
Yeah. Barf for sure. Okay, that's fair. Maybe Cat Bus.
Cat Bus might be best at being the best.
Fair. Cat Bus was clutch.
Cat Bus was awesome. Cat Bus might be dream blunt rotation.
Or Nightmare. That could be either or.
I think that's our dual. Our dual player right there.
That's an either or right there.
Totoro straight up, probably either or as well. Everything in My Neighbor Totoro is both dream blunt rotation and nightmare blunt rotation.
Yeah, that is weird to think about. If because Cat Bus really just showed up out of nowhere, for real in that movie. Just here's a bus that's also a cat that can just open its door and it's going to take you anywhere you want to go. That's it. Simple as that.
Right.
Clutch character. Yeah, but for other class clowns, I'm having trouble thinking of some. Because in the Breakfast Club, there was no one who was the class. There was not really
There wasn't really a funny guy. John Bender was funny, but he was a dick.
Yeah. And then
Nuwanda.
Oh, come on. He's literally
He's literally the class clown.
So okay, yeah. Gotta have Nuwanda up in there. Okay, that makes me feel better. Okay.
Nuwanda from Dead Poets Society. Barf and Nuwanda. That's our
what
class
a combo
clowns
right there. What a combo.
To follow Hooper from the 70s for Jaws, he's winning. They're the class clowns this decade. Barf and Nuwanda. That's a Spaceballs and Dead Poets Society. Pretty much couldn't get more opposite than that. Both winning class clown. Whomst is most likely to succeed?
The rich white boys in Dead Poet Society just all the I guess because
Dead Poet
it's all
Society before Keating.
Boring succession, boring success there, So that, who cares about that one? But Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I mean, Sarah Connor.
True.
Literally most likely to succeed. We know that success awaits her.
So
with her son,
that's pretty pretty comfortable.
I don't know, man.
That's pretty good though.
Brian, The Breakfast Club.
Oh yeah. Brian's
That guy's gonna succeed. You know,
yeah.
he'll go on. He'll go on his way.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, look at now. Oh, I was wondering. I had like 11 movies up. And I'm like, where is this one movie that's not in our list? I clicked some link in IMDb somewhere, and I don't know where. It was a Tom Hanks The Terminal for whatever reason.
Probably because of the Terminator.
That's what I did. Thank you.
Of course.
But yeah, is other a lot of these movies that we watched were, I don't know, either very like not happy,
action heavy.
Yeah, it was either action, happy, or sad. Like
yeah.
I guess that's what all movies are, kind of.
Action, happy, or sad. You only get 3 options.
But
yeah, I think you gotta go Sarah Connor or Brian for most likely to succeed. You literally. Well, you know who was also pretty most likely to succeed? Kyle Reese. It's literally a time loop.
Yeah, they kind of have to. So in order for humans to stay alive.
So maybe it's like Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese.
Yeah, the whole triangle. Yeah, and the father.
Kyle Reese was the father and the son, John Connor.
And John Connor. Or wait, no, that's not the triangle. It's Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese. No, it is.
Yeah,
no,
Sarah Connor and
right.
Kyle Reese loved each other. They made John Connor. John Connor sends Kyle Reese back in time to save Sarah Connor. They fuck. They have John Connor. John Connor rises up. He sends Kyle Reese back in time. It's just it just keeps going. But yeah, so Sarah Connor, Kyle Reese, and John Connor most likely to succeed, along with Brian Johnson in The Breakfast Club.
What a widely different succession, you know.
Completely different versions of
one
success.
To keep the human race alive, and one just to have a good career and provide for your family. You know, very.
Oh, it's fucking funny. No, but next up, we got most likely to end up in jail or dead.
Here we go. We got a lot of these.
Yeah, I think we do. I think you got to have Bender on there for most likely to end up in jail. John Bender. I know he had a pretty life-changing day, but he still seems quite the rebel.
Probably gonna end up there.
And his home situation will not be getting any better, even though he is now dating Claire.
Tony Montana.
Oh yeah, that dude's dead as fuck.
He is indeed dead as fuck. Bro got shot like 50 times. Fell in a pool. That boy dead. Let's see.
That boy really dead.
Dark Helmet.
Dark Helmet, bro. That man died.
Or that their emperor too. Basically, they're just Spaceballs.
Spaceballs
Actually,
most likely to end up dead or in jail.
You know, just Spaceballs.
It's most likely to end up fucking dead.
I guess Jack Nicholson. He just kind
of. Yeah, I was gonna say. Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining ended up dead.
No one in there really.
I think we're good here with John Bender, Tony Montana, and Spaceballs for most likely to.
Those are bad boys. Yeah, look at our bad boys. John Bender with and all the cast. Yeah, just the whole cast of Spaceballs.
Just everybody in Spaceballs. Well, maybe we can. What was it called? The like their empire. What was it called?
Let's find out. Planet Druidia was that was that side, and then what?
Yes.
Oh, it doesn't.
The Spaceballs. They were the Spaceballs.
I think that's it. That was
their. Yeah. So we'll call them the Spaceballs.
Yeah, they were the Spaceballs. No, that was their like race, or like their like humans. They were Spaceballs. Like that. Yeah. That's their whatever. I think it was just the Spaceball Empire or something.
Scroob.
Planet Scroob was their planet.
Yeah, Scroob was the president of Planet
leader.
Spaceball.
Yeah.
So they're the Spaceballs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so the Spaceballs specifically deserve to end up in jail or dead. So far in the 70s and 1980s, we got Travis Bickle joining Tony Montana, John Bender, and the Spaceballs in Jail or Dead. Now we're on to Dream Blunt rotation.
All right, here we go. Cat Bus.
Now, you know what? I'm going meta with this. I'm going Hayao Miyazaki.
Okay.
The creator of My Neighbor Totoro. That man's got a fucking brain on him.
True that.
That's
at the Breakfast Club. I throw all of them in there because they literally have like a blunt rotation, like mid movie.
True.
I already had one. Kind of had one shared it with them. So
it's true. Yeah, I was high. I was there.
So gotta throw them in there.
I mean, I'd fuck with I'd smoke up with Sala.
That's why. I would say
from
like
Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, give me like the main three. Give me Indy. Give me Sala. Give me
Indy and Ravenwood.
Yeah, give me all of them. Yeah, for sure. The Shining. Nah, sorry.
I'll fuck all y'all. Nightmare blunt rotation.
There we go.
Go ahead and plug in the twins from The Shining.
Yes.
The lady in the bathtub in The Shining.
The hotel.
The whole motherfucking hotel in The Shining.
And The Shining. Just the whole
Shining.
movie too.
The Shining
and
is
the whole
part
movie.
of the Nightmare blunt rotation.
Yep.
You know who I'm trying to have at my dream blunt rotation though? Like, if we being for real, give me Keating. Give me Keating in this up.
Oh, for sure. Duh. Yeah, that's just automatic. That's just like, give me Robin Williams. Like, he doesn't even
Nightmare
have to.
blunt rotation. Neil's dad.
True, that dude would suck.
And I'm going to go ahead and add him to best at being the worst.
Yeah, I felt like we missed someone.
I knew we did.
Yeah, like there was someone there who was like a fuck that guy, and yeah, it was the dad. Yeah, fuck that guy. I'd say that's good for a dream. I think we got it. I don't know. Maybe there's like one obscure character.
I'm thinking through the casts and the. Oh, here I got another one for the Nightmare. The Aliens and Aliens.
True. That would suck. Maybe the janitor in the Breakfast Club. I don't know though. It'd be an interesting.
That'd be an interesting one to be sure. I'm a need
maybe Mr.
Totoro
Vernon in the Nightmare though. Mr. Vernon. Oh, Totoro for sure. Oh yeah.
Dream or Nightmare?
Oh, Totoro and I guess could be both.
I think Totoro and Cat Bus are probably both. You know what? Totoro's they're Dream Blunt rotations.
Yeah.
They're not Nightmare Blunt rotations. I'm not putting them with Neil's dad and The Shining and the Aliens and Aliens or Mr. Vernon. Those are monsters.
Can't. Let's see. I guess Al Pacino's Tony Montana would be pretty nightmarish. Trying to think of anyone else in that movie though. Wasn't really. No, not what I'm looking for.
No, I think
I'm trying to find an obscure, like, ooh, like that's what I'm looking for. But I'm not really finding any. Any.
I'm not really finding any either. I think we kind of maxed it out here. I mean, I'll smoke up with shit, man. I don't know. Alfred Molina was in Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'd smoke up with Alfred Molina.
Fair. Yep. I mean, he was kind of he did like betray Indy right away, though.
Hey, I ain't talking about his character, though. I'm talking about Alfred Molina.
Fair.
He was here. He was here. He was in the 80s. I'm adding Alfred Molina. And I think that's about right. The Dream Blunt rotation being Hayao Miyazaki, The Breakfast Club, Indy, Ravenwood, and Sala, Mr. Keating, and Totoro and Cat Bus, along with Alfred Molina. I think that's just an ideal group of people to smoke with. Can you imagine being in the same place as all these people? I kind of want to make art pieces.
Yeah, this graphic would be insane.
Rotations.
This graphic would be insane.
I think I'm going to execute that. I think I'm going to try that.
That would be incredible. Just seeing
Our
all those
70s
characters just next
just
to
by
each other.
decade.
Yeah,
like I do a 70s Dream Blunt rotation, 80s, and I just keep doing it every single one. But Nightmare Blunt rotation, I'm not making these. This is nightmare fuel. The twins in The Shining, the lady in the bathtub in The Shining, the whole motherfucking hotel in The Shining, along with The Shining, Neil's dad, Mr. Vernon, and the aliens and Aliens. That's the Nightmare Blunt rotation, and it's a perfect. It's a perfect. The 80s awards so far for me are going better than the 70s did. I think these are more successful. Now, biggest simp. That's Knox Overstreet, baby.
Yeah, I mean, dude read a poem right in front of her. Dude went to, that's in public school too. He did that. Dude walked into her school and was like, "Hey, I don't care that your boyfriend punched me in the face many times and that I maybe stroked your hair and gave you a forehead kiss kind of a little too early, like you had no idea who I was. It was a little weird. But definitely simp behavior. That's for sure.
He's on his simp behavior. Oh, Knox Overstreet. I think far and away the biggest simp of the 80s. I think you could throw in Andy in The Breakfast Club post Allison makeover. Man saw her made up and was like, "Oh, well, we're gonna date now."
Fair. Okay. True. Maybe.
But I don't know. I think Knox Overstreet.
Yeah. No, he has
just
to.
Takes the.
I mean, like,
cake
yeah. There's no one else that. Yeah. I mean, like, it's literally his character. So, like, maybe like in the credits of the movie, it's just simp. Or like instead of saying who played Knox Overstreet, it's just simp and then the actor's name.
Simp as
like you could get away with that. Like
you probably could.
Yeah, for sure, far and away, he wins this one.
Now let's go on to the best couple, and if we're doing it the way we did it last decade, it doesn't matter if they're in the same thing or not. It can be cross-platform. Like last decade, we did Alex from A Clockwork Orange and Travis Bickle from The Taxi Driver would pair off really well.
Yes.
We had Don Vito Corleone and old Ben Kenobi would probably go well together. Sante and Luke Skywalker, and I'm excited for this one. This is one of the more fun ones on the list. If we're pairing people off, I mean, I can't think of a more badass duo than Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley.
Ooh, okay, yes. What about Harrison Ford and Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, and so just I don't know. That's just one that we can, Deckard. We can just
Deckard,
Indy and Deckard.
Right.
Just to have the Harrison Ford one there. I'm assuming Harrison will be in a few others, just being the ladies' man that he is. I mean,
I was halfway
if we're going
to throw Indy and Ellen Ripley together.
Oh, okay. I was about to say Indy and Marion. Like the actual relationship in the movie was actually just good.
Yeah. Well,
like of the 80s. So
if I had to go with like my favorite romantic pairing throughout the decade, I probably would go Indy and Marion Ravenwood. If I had to choose one, I think that's ultimately where I'd land. If not them, Sarah Connor and Kyle Reese.
Ooh,
I like
true.
them a lot.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go cross-platform though. Let's get to the fun stuff. Let's think of Spaceballs because this can breed for some fun.
Yes, it can.
So who could Dark Helmet get with? Okay, think
the Nazis and Raiders of the Lost Ark. President Scroob and Hitler.
Yeah, they're a throuple, or like whatever that's called. They're in an open relationship with each other.
Polyamorous.
Yes, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Dark Helmet, the Nazis. That works together. let's see. I want to give my boy Totoro.
I'm gonna just go ahead and throw out the Spaceballs and the Nazis.
That's fair. I want to give my boy Totoro someone. Who would Totoro match up well with?
Totoro is probably. Who's probably booling? Totoro and Barf.
Yeah, they're both teddy bear like characters.
Both at peace with nature.
Yeah. Okay. Totoro and Barf. You got to make this graphic. You got to make. Oh my! Wow. This one would be another graphic that would be hilarious. Just like in poses of like if you could find them like looking, and like looking in like a loving way somehow. But
that'd be fucking fantastic. Now I'm trying to think. Of some more pairs we could throw together. Ooh, this isn't cross-platform, but a duo I really, really enjoyed in a movie was Dead Poet Society. Neil and Todd. I liked them a lot. They were cool. They were a cool pair of buds. But back to the task at hand. I just had to throw that out real quick.
Okay. Well, we haven't even used Arnold Schwarzenegger yet as the Terminator, so we got to. Okay, he's got to have someone.
The Terminator is getting paired off with what could we do for the Terminator and Ellen Ripley in The Power Loader.
Okay. Ooh, who was the synthetic human in Aliens?
Oh, right. Let me get this pulled up.
The synthetic guy. Yeah,
Bishop.
Yes, Bishop. Yeah, give
the Terminator and Bishop.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Let's see. I imagine Brian would have got on well with most of the Dead Poets Society guys.
Yeah. Ooh, that's like just Dead Poet Society and Brian.
Oh shit! You know who would be really dope together? A couple of teachers, Indiana Jones and Mr. fucking Keating.
Bam!
Did we
That's
have that
a power
at the exact
couple.
same time?
That's a power. I immediately thought of Mr. Keating. Then I'm like, who's he going with? And I'm like, oh, Indiana. Who's the other professor over here? Like that's it. That's Indiana Jones. So
fuck yeah, Indiana Jones and John Keating together. Sign me the fuck up. I'm there.
The kids they would have in the lessons, they would be so mature, so fast. They would know. Oh my god! Wow, their children would be insane. Got some good couples here. These are some good couples.
Mr. Vernon and Neil's dad.
Yeah. Oh yes, that household would suck. Let's see. Anyone from The Shining would.
I mean, if you wanted to open to a polyamorous relationship between Alex and A Clockwork Orange and Travis Bickle, I think
he could pair in well with them. Yeah,
he'd pair in well with them, but we can't go cross
decade
platform. That's intense. That's out there.
Yeah, I'd say we got some good couples in here.
I'd say so too. Sarah Connor.
We got
some
from every movie. Yeah, we got someone from every movie. Or do we? From Scarface. Do we have Tony Montana up there?
We do not have Tony Montana up here. Tony Montana would probably pair well with. Shoot, you got to give him credit. That's a pretty one-of-a-kind character.
Maybe just himself.
Tony Montana should be alone. He shouldn't be around people.
Yeah, that's true. Even like his own sister. Like if he's around anybody, it's just not good. Maybe just throw. Yeah, he's fine. Just leaving out of the best couple here. He's the only.
Alone.
Yeah, it's the only movie where no one's mentioned from. I think because we have Jack Nicholson in there somewhere. I believe. Right? Oh yeah, we threw him in. Oh no, that was the cross decade. So we don't. I guess
we don't have one for him yet.
But we definitely have Indy in Blade Runner. So we have Deckard there. Terminator, got some in there.
Aliens and Terminator, Spaceballs and Raiders.
And Dead. So we have everything basically, but Jack Nicholson and
Scarface.
Tony Montana
Bet
as
that.
like the lead. So
yeah, best couple. Maybe they're the ones we pair off together. Tony Montana and Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
There you go. Just two guys that you don't want to be around any other humans.
To just put them in a room together.
Yeah.
We got Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley, Indy and Deckard, Indy and Ravenwood as our honorary actual best couple, the Spaceballs and the Nazis, Totoro and Barf, the Terminator and Bishop, Indiana Jones and John Keating, Mr. Vernon and Neil's dad, and Tony Montana and Jack Nicholson in The Shining. On to our last three that are all very, very material. Best hair, best facial hair, and worst hair. Who had the best hair of the decade?
I remember in one of the episodes, I was like, this is up there for like running for best hair in the 80s. I remember saying that for one of these movies, but it
was the Terminator and it was Sarah Connor.
Was it?
Yes.
Like,
look up Sarah Connor getting ready, the Terminator.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. Or the girlfriend at the very beginning that gets murked by Arnold. Yeah, like they're getting ready. Yeah, like best hair just goes to the Terminator, maybe.
Yeah, Sarah Connor and the Terminator.
Yeah,
that's kind of that's the distinction here for best hair in the decade, and I think that's an easy choice. It definitely stood out for me in comparison to all these other movies. I remember being like, Sarah Connor's hair is fucking amazing.
I guess The Breakfast Club is kind of like
that was
like
an honorary
runner-up.
Claire,
yeah.
Bender and Claire really had the hair on them. I mean, Allison also had the whole thing going on, but she's probably worst hair.
Yeah,
had a lot of dandruff in that hoe.
True. Yeah, definitely the Terminator wins though. Like, and definitely Sarah. Yeah, that's undoubtedly best hair of the decade. Facial hair.
Best facial hair. Do we got any standout facial hair in this decade? I don't recall that we do.
Indy's got a mustache, doesn't he?
I mean, he's got some light scruff.
A light scruff. More of a mustache. Yeah. I mean, Indy's just a sexy dude. Let me just say. It's not just the facial hair that makes him sexy, but Sala had a beard.
Ooh, Sala had some good facial hair.
Sala had a beard. I'm trying to think of anyone else who did.
I think Sala might take the cake for best facial hair of this decade.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. I mean, he might be the only one that really even did it. Was anyone in My Neighbor Totoro? No one had facial hair there.
I don't remember any beards there.
No. Yeah, I'd say Sala.
Yeah, I think I'm with that.
Worst.
I mean, Jack Nicholson has kind of a crazy beard thing going on, but not exactly what you're looking for. But yeah, Sala wins best facial hair of the 80s, coming off with some good company with Don Vito Corleone and old Ben Kenobi.
Damn.
Trapper John McIntyre and MASH. That's some good facial hair in the 70s.
Damn.
Interesting seeing these sorts of things where like the emphasis was placed in character design. Like we had a lot more options with facial hair in the 70s than we did in the 80s. So that's a pretty interesting little tidbit there. And worst hair, I think, could probably safely go to Allison in The Breakfast Club because she literally uses the dandruff in her hair as snow for a work of art.
Yeah, I mean, pretty clear on this one. Interesting that both decades had just one person who was just obviously had the worst hair because like Travis Bickle just came up with a mohawk out of nowhere, like like straight up, and then Allison literally using her hair for art. So yeah, like interesting that each decade has one. I wonder who the 90s is going to be, but ooh. The movie.
What happens here at the very end of the 80s award show with movie of the decade?
Let's see. Do you think it's obvious?
I think the highest ratings end up coming up. I think it's, for me, straight off rip, if I'm thinking back to these 10, it's Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's the movie of the decade. It dominated these here awards.
Runner up. Dead Poet Society?
Yeah, that and My Neighbor Totoro. Like those are probably my top 3 of the decade. The Shining's up there though.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of good movies, man. Aliens was really good too. Simple but good. You know, you like Terminator, like
it's funny how like farther and further removed, like Aliens stands to me like far better than the Terminator. Like removed from it like a couple weeks.
I think it was the just the simple fact that there was a kid and you had a mother-daughter thing going, and it was just you cared way more. Because
and you did have like a mother-son thing in the first one, but you never saw the son. You just knew that she was protecting her son.
And it was like, and Terminator was like, yeah, you had Arnold that was right there, like coming at him, but like it was always like a distant threat. But like in Aliens, it was like they're right here, like they could die many times, like at any time. So like, but I think Raiders, nothing's gonna.
And that shows us that the 70s movie of the decade was Star Wars. 80s movie of the decade was Raiders of the Lost Ark. George Lucas has quite the track record, at least with us here at the Penny Bloom Film Awards.
And Harrison Ford.
And Harrison Ford in both of those movies. John Williams, both the soundtracks. George Lucas on both the writing squads. It's definitely a testament to our taste, I'd say. But it'll be interesting once we wrap all of this up. The whole shitaroo, because I have a new vision for our decades or our whole project's award show, which we take the winners of each category.
Oh my God.
And we put them against each other to see who's the best of the last 52 years.
Oh my God. That just has to happen. Oh, for sure. Oh, I'm super excited now. Definitely.
Yeah, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Because it'll just be the best of the best, and we'll have to decide what's the best of the best of the best.
Who's the best at being the best of being the best of the worst? Okay, we'll get into that when we get there.
We'll get into that later. But yeah, this was the Penny Bloom podcast. It was I, Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And of course, I'll have you back this Friday for 1990's Goodfellas, and we'll be officially off into a new decade, and I cannot wait for that. And the 90s looking like it's going to be every bit as good as those 70s and 80s. But yeah, very, very excited. If you would, head to patreon.com/CoRoBloom, where we'll have well over 20 hours of exclusive content for you there. Follow on Twitter at PennyBloomPod, where if the movie were to change for the next week, like I said, it's Goodfellas this Friday, and it will stay that way. But if it were to change, you'd find out on Twitter at PennyBloomPod. Follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Share with a friend. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And always praise Raiders of the Lost Ark.